Hello there. Welcome back to the Senate Podcast. We're on episode number 38. I'm your host, Caleb Johnston, and today I'm joined by somebody who is very excited to talk about some video games. This is Stone Cold Kev. This is going to be your name for the episode. How are you doing? How are you feeling? I know you've been playing games recently, so...
Yeah, no, I'm doing great, and just want to first say thank you for having me.
We're gonna
recently, have fun. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I've been wanting to make this video for a very long time. Definitely super excited. For me, video game wise, I mean, I already told you, like I went back to single player games.
Yes.
Before that, I mean, we were just playing multiplayer games. I know us and the boys were playing Warzone a lot. I was also playing Fortnite with some of my own friends, and the skill-based matchmaking it is very easily just burns
it puts you back
out.
in the mood for some single-player games.
Oh yeah, man. Just give me some story. Let me feel like I'm progressing through something, actually achieving something, rather than XP bonus or leveling up my seasonal.
I know prestige. it's like I don't want to keep leveling up all these battle passes. I want to play a real game.
Yeah. All this extra $10 here and there.
I know, just spending all this money on nothing, literally nothing. It's like, think about all the money we've spent on battle passes that we could have been buying like $60 games that are way better than
Game of the Year games.
Yeah, like Game of the Year games that we're going to talk about today. Spoiler alert. So it kind of worked out. We had to wait until 2024 really, because we want to talk about games and we want to talk about Game of the Year. So we're going to go back 10 years. I remember where I was in 2013 playing these video games. So we're going to talk about the Game of the Year contenders from the last 10 years. So basically the best games you could possibly play over the course of the last 10 years. I actually recorded a video. It's probably going to go out after this, of me breaking down the last 24 years of video games. I had to do the episode by myself because it would have taken hours to do it with somebody else. But in about 45 minutes, I run through the last 24 years of video games. But today we're going to go more in depth. So I had to bring you on to go in depth about Game of the Year candidates. So you said that you've been playing some more single player games and stuff. So I know you're in the mood to really talk about this kind of stuff. What we'll do is we'll go back to the beginning. But before we do that, this is, like I said, the Senate Podcast. Who knows how much longer we'll be officially labeled the Senate Podcast. We're on episode 38, but I have some other episodes recorded. So I'm thinking around episode 50, we might have a big change coming. But we're on YouTube. That's probably our main platform. Not my favorite platform, but I make some nice thumbnails, you know. But we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We're even on Audible. Anywhere you want to listen, you can listen to us talk about games on your favorite platform. So with that being said, are you ready, Stone Cold Kev, to get into some of these games?
Let's do it, man.
So what I'll do is I'll take us back a few years to the year of 2013. All right, let's talk about these games right here. So the contenders in 2013, of course, we got The Last of Us, but we also have other games like 2013's Tomb Raider, Super Mario 3D World, BioShock Infinite, and Grand Theft Auto 5. So in your, experience, where were you at in playing these games in 2013 and since then? Because I know sometimes we wait a few years and then go back to these critically acclaimed games, that came out. And I think 2013 was a great year of video games. So what about this list is sticks out to you? Because I could say a lot, but I'm gonna let you go first.
What you said about it being a tough year was definitely correct. That's like my first thought. BioShock Infinite, Grand Theft Auto 5, Super Mario 3D World, The Last of Us, and Tomb Raider. I mean, these are great games. GTA 5, didn't get to play when it came out. I definitely played it a long time after. Mainly because I was 11 and Kevin at 11 years old was not allowed to play GTA.
Yeah.
BioShock Infinite. Now I did get to play that I played BioShock Infinite and Tomb Raider rather quickly. I would want to say either that end of the year around Christmas time, got it like Black Friday, or the 2014, which would have been a year after. Tomb Raider, that's a very great game. Very dark and gritty take of the Tomb Raider. I loved it. The sequels, not much connection there, really. I kind of lost my interest. Mainly because I had a PlayStation.
And it was stuck on Xbox for a while.
Yeah, they made the Rise of the Tomb Raider Xbox exclusive. So
okay, so I got to jump in. I had the same experience with it, and I think a lot of people probably did. Like, if you played the first Tomb Raider, reboot in 2013, it was absolutely amazing because it basically copied Uncharted, and it was a little different, but it was very similar, like gameplay wise. But then everybody got a PS4, so everybody went from 360 to PS4, unless you were one of the people like me who played PS3 and 360. But everybody got a PS4, so a lot of people missed out on Rise of the Tomb Raider, and I think that was 2015 because it was a timed console exclusive for the Xbox One, and a lot of people just missed out on it. But regardless, yes. I think Tomb Raider 2013 is a better game, anyways. But yeah, sorry, that is a weird moment in gaming because a lot of third-party exclusives obviously went to PlayStation, and they still do, but that was one of the ones that got away from Sony and PlayStation and went to Xbox, and it failed. It did not perform well.
Yes. So with that was like one of two things. So the console war, that made it a last-ditch effort. I mean, Xbox knew they were getting blown out by PlayStation. Not only that, Square Enix is a very, very greedy company, and they seek money. So what I'm going to guess is what happened.
Yes,
Xbox was like, "Here, I'm going to give you millions and millions of dollars if you make this exclusive game." They're like, "Yeah, we'll take that," and that really killed. I mean, that almost straight up killed the entire momentum. Not only momentum, but the Tomb Raider reboot franchise. And so that was a very pathetic move on both sides, and it ruined
This is like it ruined the momentum of that series. But what's funny is I think in a little bit we're going to talk about Tomb Raider again, and we're also going to get into console wars. So 2013 itself, I remember literally playing all of these games in 2013. I'll never forget almost every single moment of playing The Last of Us. I can remember to this day where I was sitting playing that game. I remember it vividly, more than any other game. And the only other game I remember almost as well as The Last of Us is BioShock Infinite. I remember where I was when I beat the game, what TV I was playing on. I remember everything. So BioShock Infinite is one of my favorite games of all time. Same thing with The Last of Us, one of my favorite games of all time. What's funny is I've actually probably played through Tomb Raider as many times as I played through BioShock Infinite and The Last of Us, because that 2013 Tomb Raider is also one of my favorite games. Not of all time, but like of that genre. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then I'll keep going. Super Mario 3D World. It's actually one of my favorite 3D Mario games, and that came out that year. Grand Theft Auto 5. I didn't really like it.
Yeah,
I thought the controls were bad, but I did play it back in the day. So,
and remember the GTA 5 that only had the single player game mode when that first released. Yes. So,
online I think came out in 2014 or 15.
Yeah, a little while after. Yeah. So if you weren't like very attached to the campaign, I mean that's just an open world, like sandbox. You're just running around, flying, and all that.
This was a fun year.
Yeah, definitely a fun year. I mean, little spoiler, I am happy The Last of Us won Game of the Year. I would have picked it, I was the one making the vote.
Okay. So, Last of Us won officially Game of the Year. You're saying that was your choice for this year?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. I think so too. So I think we're in agreement on 2013. Last of Us, almost nothing touches it. This was a great year, but we're in agreement. 2013, Last of Us won. Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So, anything else you want to say about 2013?
So I got Tomb Raider, BioShock Infinite, and Fable 3 all at the same day, same night.
Okay.
All at Black Friday.
What a pool.
And what sucks and makes kind of takes like a little ding, I started and completed Fable 3 over both of those games. I got really far into Tomb Raider, kind of lost interest, and BioShock Infinite, it's good on its own, but they knew what they were doing with that. They knew taking it out from under the water to all the way in the sky, that it was going to detract some people that were the fans of BioShock 1 and 2. And for me, it really felt like a very different game. And I'm a very aquatic person. I attached to that. I love the theme or the feel and the look of it. And for that, it just didn't really do it for me.
I was literally the opposite. I wasn't a fan of, like, I think Rapture is super cool, but I didn't care for BioShock 1 and 2 as much. I love the idea and the setting, but it needed something else. And I'm a huge fan of history, and like the fact that BioShock Infinite was in that time period too.
Yep. It's got that like colonial patriotic feel.
I loved it.
It was Washington.
I thought it was amazing. So it just hit for me like on literally the opposite end. Like if you were a fan of Rapture and like the underwater elements, you probably didn't like Infinite as much. But if you liked Infinite and the flying around in the sky, you probably like that more so than the water aspects. Which, I'll just say this. I listened to a bunch of gaming podcasts, and my favorite one broke news. It might not be the case now, but what the next BioShock is going to be and where it's going to be set. And it's supposed to be set in Antarctica in the snow, which I think would be a super cool setting for a BioShock game. So
that'd be crazy.
It went from water to sky to snow. So that would be cool. So, all right. Are you ready to move on?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. 2014.
Another great year. And you said this is the first official year for Game of the Year games?
Yes. So 2013 was the VGAs, the Video Game Awards. And that ended in 2013. And then Jeff Keighley started his own award show called The Game Awards. Very similar, but they are a little different. So when people refer to Game of the Year, like winners and awards, it's usually through The Game Awards by Jeff Keighley. Now, if you go back before the year 2014, it's the Video Game Awards. And then if you go back even further, it's DICE Awards, the Golden Joystick, stuff like that. But the most notable and relevant right now is Jeff Keighley's The Game Awards. So the Game Awards, first year, 2014. Here are the nominees right here. Bayonetta 2, Dark Souls 2, Dragon Age Inquisition, Hearthstone, and Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor.
That's a throwback.
Okay.
Middle-earth.
I'm going to let you go, but this is what I'm going to say. I did not play any of these games. None of them caught my attention, except for one.
Which one was that?
Dragon Age Inquisition.
Okay, yep.
I'm still really, really wanting to play that game. So, but this year wasn't a year for me. I'm trying to remember in 2014 what I played. That was the launch of the console. So in my head, I know I was playing Assassin's Creed Unity, Far Cry 4. I was playing, I think this was the year Infamous Second Son came out.
Yeah. It was a launch title.
Yeah, so I was playing like those games, but I missed all of these games. I played Shovel Knight, the Walking Dead games from Telltale.
Ooh.
Played those.
Ooh, man.
Yeah. So I didn't really play any of these nominees. I played Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. That's what I played more than anything.
Yeah,
so I love that game.
That's a great Call of Duty.
That's literally all I have to say about this year. So what do you think about these nominees?
So, yeah, I've never really been a Nintendo person. Like, it's definitely I outside of the Wii. I think this was around the
Wii U.
Wii U. Yeah, there you go. So I never even had that console.
I think Wii U came out in 2013 or 14.
Yeah, I think that was around there. That was like their next gen.
Oh no! Wow, Wii U came out in 2012.
So, man, they were ahead of the schedule by 2 years. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that was a failure. Wii U, they got rid of that quick.
It was. I loved it personally, but it was literally just a Wii, like a Wii Pro. That's all it was.
Right, and it was portable, right?
No.
No. What?
You would think so, but the controller had to be within range of the system.
Oh, okay.
But it was it was like the controller had its own screen. So like if let's say you were playing like The Legend of Zelda, your inventory menu you would look down and see it on your screen. So you wouldn't have to like bring up a separate screen for that. You know what I mean? So
so that was like a prototype for the Switch.
Yes. That's exactly what it was.
For the Switch. Man, that's a great idea. So yeah, I didn't really get to experience Bayonetta 2, though that never really interests me. Hearthstone, I feel bad, but I don't even remember that. Oh, Blizzard, that was probably a PC game, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Mother Earth, Shadow of Mordor. That's a great game, but that is a very just fun action game. I would definitely put that more towards like a Call of Duty game. Like you go in, basically you have like an open world space, and you have these orc leaders. And you
that was the Nemesis system, right?
Yeah. So if you knocked one guy off, wow, was this the year for the Evil Within? Was that 2014?
Let me look it up.
That wasn't a finalist. I mean that.
Yes, bro.
What? This was
October 2014.
This was all over YouTube. Like every big YouTuber was playing this game. I'm surprised. That should have been out there. That should have been at least a finalist. That's an amazing game. I mean, that's a game of the year right there.
Okay.
Not that it would have won. Okay. Should have been up there though.
Okay, so first let's dial it in.
Wolfenstein: The New Order.
I know. Okay, here's what we're gonna do.
Wow.
Dragon Age Inquisition won.
Yes.
Is that your pick out of these nominees?
Yeah.
I think we both agree Dragon Age.
100%.
Okay. Terrible list of nominees, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. And say here real quick. So the thing with Dark Souls 2, they had to fix that game. They had to fix it with Scholar of the First Sin. There was bad enemy spawns. There was a lot of bad gameplay choices. That Scholar of the First Sin was basically an update to the game, but it was a re-release of the game. They fixed it, so I'm surprised Dark Souls 2 was up there because there was a lot of problems, and a lot of people had a lot of problems with it.
Yeah.
So that is very shocking. Over like Wolfenstein and.
I can't remember watching the awards this year, like that year and everything, but 2014 I was playing Infamous Second Son, Advanced Warfare, Mario Kart 8, which I love Mario Kart 8 actually, but in 2014 it wasn't polished. It was very basic.
Yeah, that'd be the Wii U Mario Kart 8.
Now, really, if you want to know what I was playing in 2014, Destiny. How was that not on here for a nominee? I get it.
Would that have
when
had
it launched,
an
it wasn't amazing.
Man,
No. September 9th,
I never even experienced like the base Destiny. You'd have to tell me how that is.
It was good. It was good, bro. I don't even understand how that wasn't nominated. I guess I don't know. I haven't played the nominees, so I guess I don't know. But okay, let's just move on. Dragon Age Inquisition took 2014. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
We're going to move on now to 2015, and I'm going to let you take this year because you I know you love 2015.
2015.
We're going to talk about the nominees, and we're going to talk about the games that came out in 2015. So why is 2015 such an amazing year? What do you like most about the year 2015? Just tell me about it.
Because it is the greatest gaming video game of all time. I mean, this is the best AAA releases. list. I mean, Bloodborne, that's a game of the year for some years. Fallout 4, I know for me that's a game of the year. For some people, they had disappointments because of graphics. For me, graphics aren't a end all be all. Metal Gear Solid 5, that's a game of the year for a lot of years. Super Mario Maker, again, I feel bad. I kind of missed out on an entire genre right there. The Witcher 3, I'm pretty sure that won 2015. But not only that, that was just a prime like nostalgic, like that is just one of those childhood years for me that I'm always going to remember. But if you had the list of the other games outside of the nominees, they had a lot of good multiplayer releases.
Rocket League.
Yeah, Rocket League. Rainbow
that
Six
changed gaming.
Yeah,
Rainbow Six changed gaming.
Dying Light. I mean, one of the best zombie games ever.
Undertale. I know that changed gaming for that, like, not gaming, but that
was a very popular
RPGs to a new level in terms of the mainstream.
Yeah, that's a huge win for
RPGs and who made that?
For indie games, indie genre.
Yes.
Black Ops 3, my opinion, the best Call of Duty of all time. I mean, you look down the list, it's got multiplayer games. It had Until Dawn. That was like
dude, Until Dawn is so
for
good,
2014.
bro.
Yeah,
it's so good. In my personal favorite game that year, Batman Arkham Knight. Not saying it's the greatest game ever, but the level of polish,
yes,
bro. The level of polish in Arkham Knight was years ahead of its time.
Console version, the console
version. Even the base console version of Arkham Knight that released in 2015 looked like a 2018, 2019 video game.
Hey, it outdoes modern games, because when that game released, it was actually playable. It didn't rely on live service. So people loved to hate it back then, but amazing year. Yeah, for me, it's the best gaming year of all time. Hands.
So what won that year?
The Witcher 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that? Over Bloodborne.
It's tough. Yeah, for me it'd be Bloodborne, Fallout 4, Metal Gear Solid 5. I love that a lot more than I actually like it. I don't know if that makes any sense. I love the Metal Gear Solid series, but I definitely that was the first open world Metal Gear, and for me it felt kind of bland because and very dragged out. The Witcher 3, I'd say you'd have to get it. Like, I'm trying to argue like with myself why it should be something. You have to give it The Witcher 3 for the story, the graphics, the interactive environments.
It was the first game like that of like now we get games like The Witcher 3 all the time, but back in the day, The Witcher 3 did it first, if that makes sense.
Yes, they definitely launched the cliche open world. Everything's just open world. Yes. Now we have to tag open world on our game.
Yes.
The Witcher 3.
Witcher 3 still did it amazing, and still to this day is one of the best. So
definitely. Geralt, I mean,
I agree. I think Witcher 3 should take that.
Yes. Fallout 4, why it wouldn't? Maybe story. I would say probably. I think the story is the problem with that. Witcher 3, that's a very easy to follow along, and it's very interesting. Fallout 4.
I heard the side stories are really good too.
On Witcher 3.
Yes.
Oh yes. I mean,
which is huge, because I know a lot of games that have those side stories don't really do them that well. But Witcher 3, I felt like a lived-in world, you know.
For an open world game, you have to have great side stories, because you're gonna trail off of the story. You're gonna just go exploring, and you have to have something fill in the gaps. And they're master. Who made that game?
Witcher 3, CD Projekt Red.
CD Projekt. I mean, they're masterful of that.
Great studio.
Yeah, 100%.
Based in Sweden, I believe, a Swedish studio.
Yes. Yep. Fallout 4. Yeah. So I mean, basically, it's just very simple. It's a very safe story. You get out the vault, you try looking for your kid and rescuing your kid. So that's it's not going to grab people's attention like a Witcher and trying to defend this unstoppable force. And it's a very dreadful, you don't know what's going to happen type story.
Yeah, that is an insane year for gaming all around. I think definitely one of the standouts of the last decade. So then 2015, amazing. We move into 2016. All right, you ready for 2016?
Yes.
We have Game of the Year candidates: Doom by id Software. This is like the Doom remake. Inside, Overwatch, Titanfall 2, and Uncharted 4: A Thief's End.
So, yeah, real quick, this is my 2014 year for you. I really did not, now looking at the list, I really did not play much of these games. Inside, not really my type of game. Overwatch, it's just a multiplayer game. It's a great multiplayer game. It's just not, that's not Game of the Year material. And for me, I think the fact that Overwatch won it, it's kind of a sign that it was a kind of a weak year. I mean, unless you disagree, that's my personal opinion.
I think it's a pretty weak year. Overall, I thought it was actually very weak. This was the year Infinite Warfare came out,
remastered.
Yeah, that's how you know they're struggling.
Yeah.
I think Dishonored 2 was a standout, but let's go to the nominees. Doom, great game. Inside, didn't play it. Overwatch, we'll get to that. Titanfall 2, extremely underrated. Uncharted 4, Thief's End. Personally, I was playing Uncharted 4 at the time and Titanfall 2, but Uncharted 4, I think, should have won Game of the Year because, not because it's a Naughty Dog game, not because it's an Uncharted game, but it was a game unlike any other game ever made. When you consider the polish, the story, the execution, the exposition, the production value, everything. It was a literal movie, but at the same time, it was a game. This was an Uncharted game that had open world sections in it. Obviously, it wasn't open world, but it had some amazing moments, like when you were in, I believe, Madagascar, you could roam. When you were in the island, like the Archipelago Islands, on the boat, you could roam from island to island. So they tried to expand from being such a narrow, linear narrative focused game. They tried to actually expand it. And plus the performances, the production, everything about the game, it was such a love letter to the series. And I think it was actually where Naughty Dog peaks in terms of, what they're able to do. I think it was amazing. And then Titanfall 2, extremely underrated. One of the best first-person shooters ever made. One of the best first-person shooter campaigns ever. I think it was extremely underrated. I could see Titanfall 2 also winning that year. But I want to talk about the actual Game of the Year winner, Overwatch. I think it's completely overrated. I don't think Overwatch was that great when it first launched. I just think that it was the first to do that. Much like how The Witcher was the first to do it, even though The Witcher's amazing, Overwatch was the first to really have a breakout success asymmetrical shooter that had like a hero shooter. We saw how Rainbow Six Siege didn't win that year it came out, and now we know Rainbow Six Siege is super successful as almost a hero shooter, but Overwatch was really that first breakout success hero shooter that every YouTuber was playing, every streamer was playing, every esports team had a Overwatch team. It was just a massive zeitgeist success, much like a Zelda game that's coming out, shortly after this, was just a huge deal at the time. But I think when you really look into it, does it deserve to represent the best of gaming that year? I don't think so at all. That's all I gotta say about that year.
Overwatch, I'm just really shocked by it because, I mean, that's a game you like, okay, just got off work, I just want to have dumb fun. And you go in, and it's like a make you feel good type of game. Like, if you're having a bad day, if you're just stressed, if you're just tired, you go in, you get some kills, and then you go to bed. You feel much better about going to bed.
It's fun for a short period of time.
it's just a multiplayer game. I'm very shocked that it won. Even in a weak year, Timefall 2, okay, that had the same sort of type of multiplayer action on top of a campaign.
On top of an amazing campaign.
An amazing campaign.
The difference.
Yeah. Uncharted 4, Thief's End, I mean, that easily had graphics of the year. I mean, the amount of interaction you can have with the everything moved. If you shot or even looked at it like a apple, that thing was flying across the sky. Like,
yes.
I mean, Naughty Dog's one of the best storytellers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I really disagree. I would have put Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare Remastered over Overwatch.
Me too. Yeah.
And that's a game that was Game of the Year, for VGA back in 2006.
Yes.
Doom. I think that's.
I like that it's on there. Yes, but
I think that was a good base, but that's just one of those games that the time did not do it good. You go and play Doom Eternal, you can't go back. You cannot go back to Doom. I can't. I tried playing it before Doom Eternal again, and it's a very bare bones, but it was good for what it was. It definitely did reboot the Doom franchise.
Overall, pretty weak year.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think I'm content with that analysis. So 2017. Okay,
Real
here we
quick,
go.
Can I mention a game that should have been talked about?
Yes, go ahead.
Battlefront. I'm a little. I think it came out in 2016. I might be wrong. It's either 2015 or 2016. Yeah, Battlefront.
I believe it was 2015. You're talking about the OG, not the OG, but like
the new DICE, the DICE one.
I believe it was 2015. I was actually playing that. It was in 2015. Yes, I was playing that in 2015.
Yeah. Yep. Dude, I tell you, 2015, the best all time. That game. I mean, that's another game that if it was made a couple months later, it should have beat Overwatch. But for me, that's another game. I don't know about you. I know a lot of people hated it because is it really? But yeah, Battlefront. I don't know, with the audience if they played it or not. But for me, that's another nostalgia game that I'm glad they redid and rebooted because I got to experience the All Out War and the Star Wars universe.
Honestly, great IP. I want to have Jake James Lugo back on. He is a games media writer, reviewer, podcaster, collector, everything, and he loves Star Wars. He's been collecting every Star Wars game, and I want to have him back on to talk Star Wars games. But great series. Some Star Wars games are a really good, series of games, and that was the start of the resurgence of Star Wars games. I'll put it that way.
Yes.
So moving to 2017, I'll run through the nominees. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, also known as PUBG. Honestly, I'm glad to see it in there. We'll get to it. Persona 5, Super Mario Odyssey, Horizon Zero Dawn, and Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. We all know what won. You haven't stopped hearing. You hear about it every day still in 2024, and it came out in 2017.
Yep.
Breath of the Wild. It won. Whatever. In that year, in 2017, I was playing Super Mario Odyssey. I didn't play any of the other games that year. A few years later, in 2021, I started to play Horizon Zero Dawn and realized I missed out on what was the best game that year. I love Horizon Zero Dawn. I think it was amazing. So that was what I was playing that year. Those are the nominees. I would give it to Horizon Zero Dawn. I think Breath of the Wild is completely overrated. And that's all I have to say.
Yeah, so I would say the major difference between Horizon Zero Dawn and Breath of the Wild, one game is a very bloated, just openness, and then you got one game that's open but very tight, very connected, okay, I can get from here all the way to there, and there's not a bunch of wasted time. Horizon Zero Dawn, great campaign, great story, great graphics at the time. One game where like every time you hopped on, you felt like you were achieving something. Like you felt like you were actually upgrading or leveling up or getting better gear. I remember I was looking at the YouTube videos of how to glitch to get the best armor in the game that's hidden in like some show in some like casing. That for me would be game of the year. Not small market, but very niche audience. Like you either really like it or that is just.
I know what you're saying. There's a lot of people that like it, but it's more so you got to be a super fan. You gotta, if you like it, you love it. Like if you don't like it, you're not into it.
Yeah, like the Souls games. Like you're either gonna enjoy it, that is good, you're gonna get your butt beaten, half the time, or you're just gonna detract away. It's gonna shush you away. Nintendo, yes, I feel bad. Super Mario Odyssey never played. Did play Legend of Zelda. A good game. A little bit when I first got the Switch. A lot of years down. And that's when I finally got to experience it. And PUBG,
it started
I play it a lot. I know, yeah, it did. I think that made it very
popular.
Popular piece. I think H1Z1 that was very competitive.
Oh,
yes.
So okay, funny story. What really got me into watching YouTube videos and wanting to make YouTube videos was watching people play DayZ. So DayZ was like that. It wasn't a battle royale, but like it was one of those survival games. Yes. But then H1Z1 started really taking off and took over. And from there, people got into PUBG and then Fortnite. But PUBG was the like biggest game ever when it came out like that year until Fortnite started to take over. And Fortnite really copied a lot of what PUBG did. So PUBG was the OG, but it was the spawn of the decline of gaming forever.
100%. Yeah, I played PUBG mostly on the mobile. Whenever it came to mobile, that's when I really got to experience it. It's a fun game. DayZ, quick comment. That's a very good YouTube game. Like that's a very good game to make clips and to edit because you're editing all the boring parts. So yeah, not a very fun game to actually play.
No, but it was fun to watch, and 2017 I think was actually it was an okay year. A lot of good games actually came out that were smaller. Like I loved Uncharted Lost Legacy. I think it was amazing. Sonic Mania was actually huge for that niche. Prey, super underrated. Destiny 2, it wasn't that great at the beginning, but that came out. Cuphead ended up being huge. Pyre came out. I think that's how you pronounce it. It was a fun game. There's a lot of like interesting games that came out that year. Shadow of War came out that year as well. Mass Effect Andromeda.
Ooh,
a lot of it, yeah. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe came out that year. Assassin's Creed Origins. That was a very like slept on year.
Yeah, no, Mass Effect Andromeda, man, that's a game where a lot of people hate it. I disagree. I really disagree. That was a game that you could quickly finish. And for me, sometimes with a single player open world type game, like you need a game that you can just speed through. Not everyone has a ton of time. That was a great, I think I beat that game like within 3 or 4 days. And I enjoyed it. Good story, maybe not the best graphics, but definitely an enjoyable experience.
Now, you said beat in a few days. Speaking of a game that I didn't just beat it in 2 days, I platinumed it in 2 days. And that is I'm sorry, best game of 2018. We're going to move to 2018. And this really, I think, in my head, 2018 starts the modern era. The game, the era of gaming we're in right now started in 2018. Yes. So, yes, the consoles launched at the end of 2013. The PS4 generation. But 2018 was, in my opinion, the beginning of this modern era. And of course, that year, you had God of War 2018. I feel like this is. Sorry, I'm looking at a list right now. I feel like this is a terrible list. Why does that look weird? Okay, here we go. Okay, 2018. We all remember 2018. We hear the discussions all the time about like the 5 games, the 6 games that were nominated. So you had God of War 2018, like I said. All right. Monster Hunter World, great game. Red Dead Redemption 2, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Celeste, and the best game of the year, Marvel Spider-Man 2. The game, I platinumed it in 2 days. I didn't sleep. I played it until I could not play it anymore. I actually platinumed the game twice. I loved it so much. That year, I actually played all of these games except for Monster Hunter World. I didn't get into that. But I did play all the other ones. I think, Red Dead Redemption 2, if I had to nominate a game that year for best game, I would nominate Red Dead Redemption 2. It's just not a game that I personally love, but I can recognize how this is a top 5 game of all time. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I can understand that I'm super biased towards Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man so much that if there's a good Spider-Man game, I'm going to love it more than any other game that year. So I'm super biased. Marvel Spider-Man 2 is my favorite game that year, but I'm able to look at Red Dead Redemption 2 and know that what I played was so special that I think that it was the best game that year. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Shout out to these other games. Celeste is definitely slept on. Yeah, it's a great game. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I'm going to say it's not that great because that is not an Assassin's Creed game. It's a great game, but it's not an Assassin's Creed game. Monster Hunter World was
Odyssey.
huge. Yeah, it should have just been a new IP or something. And then big shout out to God of War 2018. I don't think it's as great as everyone says, but I really liked it. I think it's absolutely an amazing game. So we could stay on 2018 for hours and talk about it. So that's my little recap of that year. I was super biased. I love that year. I think it spawned some of the greatest games ever. Now, what is your take on this contentious year?
So 2018 is a really good year, actually. But a lot of overrated games. Number one being Marvel Spider-Man. I do not agree with you at all. I could never platinum it. I could not play it a long time.
I'll agree with you. It is overrated. It is not as good as what people make it out to seem. It isn't.
I just couldn't spend 50 hours rescuing, going over the same sequences over and over again. Yes. Saving someone from a car, saving someone from a building, whatever cliche, Spider-Man saving.
And I completely agree with that. But I'm so biased. I can say that I can do that. I can save the same person from the same car crash and same mugging for hours and hours because I just love that game. But I completely agree with you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And God of War, that is another Doom-ish situation where I think it's a great building block. Now, more time has passed. Now that we have a sequel, that's a great game. I beat it, and then I went back just because I wanted to beat the Valkyries, which were the final Valkyrie is one of the most difficult mini boss battles ever. Dude, I put it on the easiest level and spent extra hours doing it. It took forever. It took me to cheese the game to finally beat it. That's harder than most Dark Souls games at this point. And for that, I'm surprised Red Dead did not win it. And for me, this was my GTA 5. And even then, it took a while for me to get. So I got it basically at release. Just tried it, and it's such a different game. It's so difficult to get into because it's not like an Ubisoft game where it's checklist. It's very straightforward. You have a line that just takes you everywhere. This thing, it clears the interface. It just has you in the world, and that's it. And you're really trying to figure out what you want to do. And that deterred me for a long time until I came back. I was like, I had to give it a chance because everyone was talking about it. Like, it's one of the greatest games of all time. And I think that's kind of why it should have won it. It's so different. Your mind has not been trained to play a game like this from EA, Ubisoft, Activision, all these money greedy companies. It's an amazing campaign, one of the best graphics probably to ever exist, counting future years. Very interactive, very own personal experiences. Like there's a lot of people that are going to have crossed a certain situation that a million other people never got to even experience. So it's very unique, and that should have hands down. And I bet you if they could redo a game of the year little selection, I think for sure Red Dead would win it right now.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it was the fact that just God of War was so different. Like it really was, like there really wasn't anything in terms of gameplay really like it up to that point. And it was such a drastic change for that IP that people were just so blown away that I think Red Dead 2 kind of got forgotten. But Red Dead 2 was so good, so special. Like it's literally one of the best games ever made. Yes. No exaggeration. Yep. You know what I mean? Mm. Yeah, that was a fun year. A lot of great games that year. I gotta shout it out, man. 2 games I gotta shout out real quick. Shadow of the Tomb Raider. That's the 3rd Tomb Raider in that trilogy. Dude, Shadow of the Tomb Raider should have been nominated. It was so good. Like that Shadow of the Tomb Raider game, I think is better than a lot of games. I could give you some hot takes right now.
Do you believe it could have won if it was not an Xbox exclusive?
So I think this 3rd installment launched on all 3. I think it was only the second one.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
I think.
All right.
But I might be wrong.
No. But you're right.
Even if I'm right, and I think I am, people didn't even realize that because
I don't remember it. I don't.
Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Rise
of the Tomb Raider left such a bad impression in people's, on people's mind about this series that there was already a bias against Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I didn't go back and play it until earlier in 2023.
Wow.
And I even playing this game, this 2018 game back in 2023, it was better than a lot of other games I played.
So the sequel really did kill it for a lot of people.
Yes.
That series.
Dude, if you haven't played Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I highly, highly recommend playing it. It's so good.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then last but not least for this year, A Way Out. I don't know if you played it.
I'm about to. Yeah.
Dude. Okay. A Way Out, so good. If you want a good co-op game to play, A Way Out. Super, super, super good game. I actually played A Way Out and God of War back to back. It was such a great.
Was that the same company that made It Takes Two?
Yes, Joseph Fares.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yes. So, yep, great game. So, moving on, 2019. Let me give you the nominees: Control, Smash Bros. Ultimate, Death Stranding, RE2 Remake, The Outer Worlds, and Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice.
It's a tough year.
Tough year. What do you think about a remake being on there as nominated for Game of the Year? Because a lot of people think that remakes or remasters or whatever shouldn't be considered in Game of the Year debates. What do you think? Because I have a hot take.
These are probably also the same people that buy Call of Duty every year, buy Madden every year, buy FIFA every year, and then they trick that $70 that could be in their bank account into thinking, oh, I'm buying a new game. So I think that's a very poor argument. It's a remake. Remakes really do rebuild it from the ground up. I mean, it's a completely different engine. Most of the time, it's completely different gameplay. I mean, like just in the current year, 2023, or the current past year, and now we're in 2024. Resident Evil 4. I mean, I know a lot of people that wouldn't go back to the GameCube, initial release of RE4, because when you went to go shoot, you had to stand still, and that is one little fix that they change or one little gameplay that they changed that open up a huge audience. It's a different game. And then it's a different game because you have people that complain, oh well, it's not exactly like this, or hey, you're missing the. If how can you complain if it's the same exact game? Well, they're complaining because it's not. So for me, I believe a remake, if it is a significant change on all levels, it's a new game. So for me, yes would be my answer.
This is my take. I don't understand how this is controversial. Let's say 2024. If it is a game that releases between, or not between, but on any day that is in that calendar year, so from the first day of the year until the last day of the year, if it is a new release, so like it can be a remake or a remastered. If it is a new release, it should be considered for game of the year because it is literally a game that came out that year. Now, let's say if you're just re-releasing the same game, that's not the same. But if it's a remastered, that's a new game. It might have a harder chance of being nominated for game of the year, but let's say there's an amazing remake like Resident Evil 2, that's a new game. Yeah, it's a lot of it is almost exactly the same as the original, but it's still a release that came out that year. You know what I mean?
Right.
It wasn't like they just re-released the original Resident Evil 2. It wasn't a re-release. It was a completely new game, but it was very, very similar to the old game. So I agree with that. This year in 2019, I didn't play a lot of these games because a lot of them aren't my type. So I definitely in 2019 I didn't play many of these games at all.
Yeah.
I'm sad I missed out on a lot of them because some are pretty good. I did play Days Gone. Obviously, I didn't get nominated.
Yes.
Apex came out that year. I played that, and I really want to talk about Jedi Fallen Order. I know a lot of people, after they really played Jedi Fallen Order, said that it should have been nominated that year, if not won. But for some reason, The Outer Worlds beat Jedi Fallen Order. Like, come on now.
For me, The Outer Worlds, that is a game I play, and I just wish it was made by Bethesda. I mean, I know. Are you a big Bethesda fan?
I'm not a big Bethesda fan. Who made Outer Worlds? I thought Bethesda didn't make it. Obsidian. That's who it was. I was getting them two mixed up. Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah,
and Obsidian,
it feels like a Bethesda game.
Yeah, and Obsidian has helped made a Fallout game. So you have a company that was a part of the company trying to make their own company like said company. You know, the company that they detached from. So it really just makes you want to just like, why I just wish this was a Bethesda game, or I wish this was a Fallout game. But now you have Bethesda trying to copy Outer Worlds, and we get a game like Starfield. So it kind of works both ways, negatively. Outer Worlds, yeah, I know a lot of people liked it, but I think people did start to realize that they liked it more than they should have. Also, 2019, I don't know about you, but I know for me, I didn't play as much of these games because Fortnite. I mean, this was peak Fortnite time. And it's weird because, like, how come Overwatch gets nominated and even wins, and Fortnite doesn't even make the list?
Yeah,
I'm a little confused on their own ratings sometimes.
I played a lot of Smash Bros that year. I played a lot of Fortnite that year. I didn't play a lot of these games, but I did play Jedi Fallen Order, and I just can't believe that it wasn't even nominated for some things that year. So,
and what was the list of the game of the year? The finalists and the winner?
Control, Death Stranding. Shout out to Death Stranding. I can't believe that didn't win. But Sekiro, Shadow Die Twice won. The most generic FromSoft game ever.
What's crazy is From Software fans think it's the most unique From Software game of all time. I've been Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, got super far, basically beat Bloodborne. I mean, I played Unreal. I played From Software. Sekiro did not attach me, or it did not pull me in like any of those other games. So
that's why I'm glad you're on here, because I'm not a FromSoft fan. I've tried. I played Dark Souls back in the day. I played Demon Soul. I've played Elden Ring. I did not play Bloodborne. I did not play Sekiro. I kind of wanted to play Sekiro, but it looks like the most generic game ever to me.
Yes.
So that's just my rant.
Where does it compare? It's very different. Theme wise, feel wise, atmosphere. I mean, it's going from like fantasy, like medieval times to Japanese. I want to say Japanese, Chinese.
I think it is Japanese.
Yeah. The Asian part, and it just it didn't have the same effect on me. My game of the year for this year, and I'm glad you talked about the remakes. Mine would easily be Resident Evil 2. Death Stranding,
I could see that.
That's a game I want to love. I want to love Death Stranding. It's
me too. I just can't.
It's got me with the atmosphere. It's got me with
this
the universe, the characters. Yep. Yes, I love Hideo Kojima. I love
Guy Hardman.
Yes, yeah. There you go. Norman Reedus and
yes, Norman.
The director, Guillermo del Toro.
Well, yeah, he's in it. Yeah, he's in it. It's super
very funny. I love it, but if you're gonna make gameplay FedEx, UPS, a delivery system, it's hard to get.
I worked at Amazon as an Amazon delivery driver when that came out, so trust me, I did not.
So
play
did I.
That game.
When I was playing that, I was a UPS driver. Yes. I was without the car, with my own feet. But
yeah,
Resident Evil 2, that is the game. The puzzles in that game, the atmosphere, how dark and scary it was. Mr. X was terrifying. Campaign's amazing. Those cinematics, I don't think Resident Evil gets enough credit for cinematics. I mean, they are beautiful. Every game they come out with is beautiful. And very unique, very unique, and that should be something that should not be taken for granted. You got so many copycats. Well, there's not really many like Resident Evil 2, and people who try to copy it normally do not succeed.
You know how successful that was for Capcom? Like, it spawned a whole new series for them. Like,
yes,
it was so successful. Okay, so here we go. Are you ready?
No.
2020, the year. So this was the year of the pandemic.
Oh, it was a pandemic year for gaming too.
Yes, it was. This was a weird year. Every nominee could have been Game of the Year. Doom Eternal, Animal Crossing: New Horizons, Hades, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, and The Last of Us Part 2. What a year. I think it's actually a very slept on year because Hades, one of the greatest games of that genre. Final Fantasy VII Remake, one of the greatest remakes ever. Doom Eternal, one of the best first-person shooters ever. Ghost of Tsushima, one of the most slept on games ever. It should have won. And then you have the winner, and coincidentally the worst of all of these games, The Last of Us Part 2. Here's what I'll say about this. The Last of Us Part 2 is great in so many ways. It is a very high production level, production quality type of game. They put obviously a lot of money, a lot of talent, a lot of love, a lot of time into it. It's a great game in gaming aspects. Everything else about the game outside of gaming aspects. So think of stuff like story beats, character development, think of higher level stuff, the narrative, all of that comes back to the writing, to the directing was very bad. But if you talk about gameplay, you talk about development, production, execution, the gameplay of it is absolutely amazing. That may be why it won, but everything else was not good. Now, if you want to take a game like Ghost of Tsushima, where it has a lot of those same qualities, but it has an amazing, amazing story, I think Ghost of Tsushima should have won because it's everything The Last of Us 2 is, but better. And then there's obviously a strong case of Final Fantasy VII Remake. I just didn't play it as in depth as I played Ghost of Tsushima. So my winner for this year, personally, is Ghost of Tsushima. Absolutely amazing game. So what do you think about this year? What games did you play? What do you think of the nominees?
Yeah, now looking back, it was a great year. I think this is going to be a tough year for everyone to look back on. It's weird because technically it was a great year for gaming because everyone was stuck inside because of the pandemic and all we had to do was play games. But
yes,
it also brings like a sense of dread. Like the pandemic was not very fun because you were literally stuck inside, only able to do so many things. And then the Game Awards came out, and it was the worst year, one of the worst years of my life, because they forced The Last of Us to win, and that is a very decisive game and very undeserving of the win. And I personally feel like it didn't win because of the game; it won because of how much it stirred up the internet.
Yep.
I think the controversy, because with these companies, any controversy is good. Publicity, it sells a game. I mean, they market it. Oh, it's a fastest selling PS4 game or PlayStation game exclusive of all time. And then all these critics were reviewing 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, and then you go to the audience score and it was like 2 or 3 or 4 or some very bare bone garbage score. And I think there was a huge disconnect between what the audience wanted and what the critics saw. And also another what kind of makes me a little suspect is they got a lot of hate. The Naughty Dog got a lot of hate, and it was like it felt like hey, like the gaming the gaming corporations were wanted to show like support, like, hey, you're a part of us, you're helping the environment out, you're helping money flow, we're going to give you this award and show that we support you. Because the creators getting a bunch of death threats, the matter of fact, the story got leaked, which is just terrible for any game.
The leaks were crazy at that time.
They released the entire game. I mean, they released the entire story
out of context.
Well, I wish it.
I know.
But for me, it reminds me a lot of like A24 movies, where you're always going to get great production. It's always going to look amazing. It's always going to sound amazing. You're going to see. You're going to have amazing locations. You're going to have everything in this little bubble. Around this little bubble is amazing. But the meat and bones. Now, it doesn't have like the Hideo Kojima. You don't really understand everything. It doesn't have. The Last of Us doesn't have that problem, but it has this like it tries to force force you to care about characters. There's no such thing. That's not a thing. You can't force someone to care about them. Good writing is not forcing the audience to hate or love a person. But this was like, oh, I'm good guy, I kill innocents, or I'm sorry, I think I said I'm going to say I'm a bad guy, I kill innocents, or I'm a good guy because I saved this person. It was like this really childlike trying to force these themes out. They massacred the mascot of PlayStation, and that was Joel. I mean, that Joel is what won The Last of Us Game of the Year. It's what drew everyone in. That entire game does not exist without Joel, without that amazing writing and amazing character building, breaking down and then rebuilding him. Redemption. That game is all about redemption. And this game, it was like The Last of Us was a lie. It was a scam. And then, if you wanted to go that route, you couldn't have done that by adding story. Oh well, in the scene you wanted to kill the doctors, but let's add but let's have one of those doctors had this child, and now we're gonna make a sequel about you trying to care
it was so like
for this kid.
Random and weird. Yeah,
it's like it's just unnecessary, and I don't agree with Neil Druckmann. I could talk a lot about this to death. Man, 2020 me would not have been able to handle as much compliments as you gave it. But yes, of course, it looks amazing, sounds amazing. It was amazing. That actually, I think it won the best accessibility.
It probably did. I mean, there was some like they're such a talented studio, and they have developers that care and put so much time into it. And it's sad because imagine if the director, the directing, and the writing were on par with the other aspects. It would have been the greatest game ever. But like you said, it was like an A24 movie that went in some kind of weird direction to make some kind of statement about something that just ruined the momentum that the first game had. It didn't feel like it was even in the same world as the first game.
It tried to be. Yeah. It caught the case of our first game was so. It reached a whole nother level of high for video game in totality, and they try to one up it, and they reached for the sky and they got burnt by the sun, and that's kind of just what happened. I blame them for trying to do it? I get it because they had a lot of pressure. I mean, this was the most hyped game for like ever. Once they released that like 10-second cinematic for
it was over
teasing, and it's just sad what they did to Joel. Joel was like one of my favorite gaming characters ever, and so I was never gonna. I was not the target.
One of my favorites. Now Jin Sakai got to be up there as one of my favorites of all time. I love Jin Sakai, dude. Ghost of Tsushima, underrated game, one of the greatest games ever. So that was a contentious year. The discourse for The Last of Us Part 2 is insane. Hades was slept on. Final Fantasy VII Remake was absolutely amazing. I can't believe that Last of Us 2 pulled it out.
For my game of the year, it should have been Ghost of Tsushima. I got pretty far into it.
As well. I'm
replaying it because I want to finish it. And within the first 15 minutes, I've had more fun than I did the 20 hours in Last of Us Part 2.
Yes, I completely agree. So, yeah, that's a year that we will never forget because of all of the craziness surrounding that.
For good or for worse.
For better, yeah, exactly. All right, so the next year we're moving on to 2021. This had to be one of my personal favorite years of gaming, and I'll tell you why. Here are the nominees: Resident Evil Village, Metroid Dread, Deathloop. There are 3 more. These next 3 games I'm about to say are some of just my personal favorite games ever. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Psychonauts 2, It Takes Two. Ratchet & Clank, I've been playing that since 2002. I literally have 21 years of experience playing this game. It's like this gaming series, this gaming franchise. I beat every game. I have the comics. You know what I mean? I'm a fan. I love this game. I think it's one of the best. I think it's the second best game in the series, right behind A Crack in Time from 2000. Absolutely amazing. I think there's a game on here better than Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, and that is Psychonauts 2. Let me tell you something, bro. Psychonauts 2 is one of the greatest games ever made. I recommend it over so many other games because of so much about it. The art, the design of you going inside of people's minds and using their minds as platforming levels, the music and the score by Peter O'Connell, who did the music for the Sly Cooper series. The music in Psychonauts 2 is amazing. Characters awesome. The world, it's amazing. If you haven't played Psychonauts 2, go play it. One of the only games ever that I will recommend more than a game like Psychonauts 2 is literally It Takes Two, which won Game of the Year. It's in my top 3 games of all time. I think it is a contender for the greatest game of all time because what it manages to do with the medium of video games, I think it perfectly captures what a video game is. On top of having perfect gameplay, perfect story, perfect execution, everything. I think it's almost perfect in every aspect. That's my take on this year, 2021. What do you think? I know I made some bold statements. Roast me. Go ahead.
No. I wish I could, but I don't know anything about Psychonauts 2. I apologize. I think it's a very popular game. The Psychonauts series.
Well, yeah, the first one came out back in the day. I want to say like 2004, 2005. I'll actually look it up. But it's a beloved classic series, and it had a very rough road getting to the second game, but they managed to pull it out thanks to Xbox, actually. So yeah, it was an amazing game. Absolutely amazing game. 2005.
Wow. Long awaited.
Yep. Yes, exactly. Very long time, very long in the making.
And you said it
lived up? It's one of the best, one of the best action and adventure open world games ever. I mean, I'm telling you right now, if you go play it, you will fall in love with it. It is so good.
Yeah, no, I definitely have to put that on the list of games I got to catch up on.
It's so
good.
But
you know what's interesting is It Takes Two is a EA made game. Is that not mind blowing? When EA sits down, hits the grind, stays focused, not on the green. Don't look at the green. Stay focused. They can make a game of the year like that.
Yes.
I mean, what that did for, co-op games. I mean, you have Halo that's like, oh, who needs a co-op, split screen? Who needs that? It's not even relevant. EA said, watch this.
Yeah.
I mean,
yep.
That couch.
Just when you thought that co-op was something from the 90s, from the N64 era, we're going to bring co-op back and remind you what gaming is all about.
Yes.
And EA was the one to do that. Yes, it was Hazelight. Yes, it was Joseph Fares again, the goat Joseph. But EA helped. EA saw the potential in Joseph, in Hazelight, in this game, and they were the ones that got it made essentially as the publisher. So yes, I agree. It was unfathomable.
I mean,
but it happened.
That's the last memory I have of like sitting on the couch and playing with my brother. Outside of like our childhood, like that game brought us back together on the couch, just grinding it, and I had an amazing time.
It's truly what gaming is all about.
Yes.
Like in such stark contrast to the previous year, where The Last of Us Part 2, in my opinion, brought out some of the worst in gaming. And then this year, It Takes Two brings out some of the best aspects of gaming. I love it.
Yes, and for me, this is like the best Disney-like non-Disney game like you could ask for. I mean, this makes you feel like a kid. The graphics, take you back. The story, you're always rooting for the husband and wife.
Yes.
Like you just find love, Mr. Love, the Book of Love. Very memorable characters, and there's only a few of them. Like I said, they were very focused. It was very tight knit. Never lost.
You could tell. Yeah, it never lost its purpose throughout the entire game. Everything, every level, everything felt special because everything felt very intentional. And again, bro, in stark contrast to The Last of Us Part 2, where you're going through the game and you're like, where did this take a 180? It was like somewhere along the way, someone had an idea and everything got turned around. Everything got changed. What's the purpose? Why are we doing this? And it felt disconnected, disjointed. And then you play a game like It Takes Two, where it's like, this guy had a vision and I'm here for the vision. I have the vision now.
Right. Yeah, no, this is like, you know, like I don't know if you watched the 2018 God of War documentary, where
I did, yeah. Raising Kratos.
so I
Yeah.
forget the director's name,
Cory Barlog,
Cory Barlog. So like, yeah, you know,
yeah,
he left the franchise. He
the
was
goat.
like, you know, like I completed what I wanted. They wanted him to come back. He was like, I don't even know where to start. I don't even know what type of Kratos. He was like, okay, I'm gonna use my personal life to make this
Yes,
character, revive this character again. And so he made like he was like, oh, I have a son. I'm gonna make him have a son. And then you had this game where it's like you can tell this game was made out of love, and that's the whole point of the game is finding love. This was the guy that went to EA and was like, let's play a single player, let's make a single player co-op game, and was fired immediately. And he kept coming back. He's like, listen, EA, listen. And they finally
trust me, it'll hit.
allowed it.
Game of the year.
Game of the year.
One of the greatest games ever made. Like I said, it represents, when you talk about game of the year, you're talking about the game that encapsulates the best of gaming that year has to offer. I think It Takes Two encapsulates the best of what gaming as a whole has to offer, therefore making it one of the greatest games ever.
And that's powerful. I mean, this game is so impactful, and I really hope,
dude.
Man, has there?
So good.
What's sad is has there been another like couch co-op game
like this? No. You got your basic Nintendo games that are co-op, but those are just like, oh, let's sit down and play a game. Yeah. This is different. Like this is like different. There hasn't been a game like it. Josef Fares announced he is making another game.
I'm sure it's going to win.
Most likely going to
be co-op. Nominated.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's going to be a hit.
Definitely.
Now moving on to more hits. This was an interesting year, and here are the nominees for Game of the Year: A Plague Tale: Requiem, Stray, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Horizon Forbidden West, God of War Ragnarok, and the winner, Elden Ring by FromSoft. Give me your take on this year. This is more recent. What do you think of the nominees and the winner for 2022?
Wow, yeah, no, this is a great year. Real quick, you got to tell me about Stray as a cat owner. How did you feel they portrayed cats in the cat game?
Not a fan of my cat, but this game made me rethink some things. I'll put it that way. It's such an emotional game for no reason, and it's such a indie game without being an indie game type of game. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like this game is so unique and special. That's why I got nominated for Game of the Year. Insane production value on such a random game. It was great. I actually really, really, really enjoyed Stray. Also as a platformer, because that's essentially what it is. It's just like a 3D platforming cat game.
Right.
And I love platformers. Stealth platformers are my favorite genre. And this was a platformer, great platformer. I loved it. Now, my pick for this year is not Stray. It's another game. But what is your pick for Game of the Year?
Yeah, so I didn't get to play Stray. If it was like dog made, dog centric game, I probably would have played it. But as a non-cat owner and never probably will own a cat, I'm glad it reunited your bond.
Yes,
with your little one. But
my cat watched me as I played.
There you go. And Plague Tale, I want to go and play that. It just came on PS Plus, so now I'm able to. Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West. I don't know. It just I think the first game had lightning in a bottle, had magic, and they just kind of fell flat.
Dude, a lot of people think that, and I don't understand why. Let's just talk about it, because it's my Game of the Year. I think it's one of the greatest games of that genre, not ever made, but I think it's one of the greatest open world action adventure game with RPG elements like that.
I got you one, and it's not really the game. It's more of it's the release date. They released the week before Elden Ring, and that's going to kill any game that's not named Elden Ring.
Now let's go even further. You said the first game had lightning in a bottle. It did. It really did. But what did it release next to? Breath of the Wild.
Oh, okay.
The first game got overlooked. Now it happened again. Lightning, I guess, struck twice because Horizon Forbidden West literally released right next to Elden Ring and it got overlooked. Imagine any other year. Imagine another year Horizon Forbidden West came out. It would have probably won or got very close to winning. Every issue that there was in Horizon Zero Dawn, they fixed it in Forbidden West. They fixed it and they expanded. They expanded the world. They made the characters way better. They made the side stories way better. The game looks good. It plays good. When you get on a mount to ride something, it actually moves. It's not faster to just sprint like it was in the first game.
Right.
You can ride, you have flying mounts now. The story takes such a sci-fi turn. I thought it was a Star Trek game at the end. I'm serious. Like, I love sci-fi. So, like, it was interesting playing the first game because it has, like, sci-fi elements. But then you get into the second game and it turns into a literal sci-fi game. I loved it. And that's what put it as Game of the Year for me over a Ragnarok or an Elden Ring. Because Elden Ring, frankly, was boring to me. I played probably 20 hours of it. God of War Ragnarok, I played 25 hours of it and got bored. Horizon Forbidden West, I could not stop playing. I put 50 hours into it. So,
wow.
That's my take.
Yeah, and honestly, I can't have too much of an opinion on it because Elden Ring. I mean, Elden Ring. I'm a From Software fan.
Yeah,
that was like their open world, and for me, I think that open world was just a lot more interesting, a lot more fun. I think for me, Horizon was very like the first one was very basic.
It was super basic,
smaller scale, and I think that's kind of what had it gave that edge. It wasn't trying to be something bigger than it was.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. And I think Horizon it definitely strayed away from that. They wanted bigger, badder, everything.
Did. I think I've heard this take online. I actually agree with it. If they would have transitioned a little bit and made Horizon Forbidden West more of a linear game, it would have done a lot better.
Yes.
Like if they would have made it more so linear like a Ragnarok, it would have done better. But instead they went the opposite direction and expanded way more. And I'm not the kind of person that plays huge, expansive games. Horizon Forbidden West is the most expansive game I've ever played. Like I don't usually put 50 hours into a game unless it's some multiplayer game. You know what I mean? Like I put 50 hours into in a single player open world RPG, and that's not usually what I do. But I think if they would have dialed in a little bit more and made it more linear, it would have done better. I agree with that.
Yes,
I think that's
a perfect
that's true.
A perfect analysis. If it was a more God of War like sandbox, I'm not quite sure what the actual classification for God of War is.
Yeah,
but
I'm not sure.
It's not like an open world. It's not an open world. It's very very linear. I think that's the best way to put it. And I think that's
let me look it up.
When you have an open world going up against an open world, whichever one's better is going to take everyone's attention. And I think handedly Elden Ring is that better game.
Yeah. I cannot argue against that. I played Elden Ring. I literally bought it full price and played it. And I think I'm just not a fan of FromSoft gameplay. I agree it's amazing, but like I like the world of Elden Ring. I thought it was interesting. Very diegetic interactions, which is what I loved about Ghost of Tsushima. You get in the world and you let the wind guide you.
Yes.
And honestly, Elden Ring felt the same. You get in, yes, you have a lot on your HUD, but you see something in the distance and you go for it. Yep. And that's what I appreciated about Elden Ring, and that's why I agree with it being Game of the Year, even though my personal Game of the Year was Horizon Forbidden West.
Yeah, no, that's good. I think my Game of the Year, it is tough between Elden Ring and God of War Ragnarok. So God of War Ragnarok, I beat through and through, enjoyed every little bit of it, was sad that it ended. Elden Ring, I've beaten every From Software game. Didn't care for Sekiro. Bloodborne, I was basically at the end. I just didn't care to finish it. Elden Ring, it just, for me, it just kept going. And I think that's my only problem with Elden Ring. From Software, it was very linear. It wasn't open world for a reason. That's kind of what made it very unique. But they wanted open world, and I think I'm just open world out. Like that doesn't. If I see something that says open world, I'm not like, oh my gosh, I have to get. It does not do that for me anymore. And I very well would have much appreciated a normal Dark Souls like game. So for me, that's a tough one because Elden Ring is an accumulation of like 15 years, a decade's worth of work, and they hit on it. I think I would go God of War Ragnarok.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know if that's bold, but Kratos, I mean, they did it amazing. Him and his son.
I think the fact that they managed to nail three things so well. They nailed combat slash gameplay. Literally playing Ragnarok is super fun. They nailed the world, going through the realms, seeing the cultures, seeing the creatures, seeing the way the things are designed. Super interesting, super good. Like Asgard, dude. I mean, it was so cool. And then the story. It is so interesting what they managed to do, bringing a literal, what is he, a demigod from the Greek pantheos of gods into Norse mythology.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it's so interesting, that blend. They nail it in that game. It's something special. I agree with you. Very cool. Very cool. I would say it's a little bit lower on the list for me.
I think what really like keeps you going is there's a lot of suspense, and I think that did it really well for the story. I mean, basically, it was telling you at the end of the God of War 2018, he takes this tarp off of this carving, and it's his death. And at the end of 2018,
dude,
you're like,
that was my favorite thing about that.
Yes, game. And you're like, he's gonna die next game. And so when you first grab the copy of the game, you're riding home, you're like, this is gonna be the last time I'm gonna see Kratos? Like, what is Atreus gonna take over? Is he gonna be the new God of War? Is he gonna be the one?
Atreus, dude, what an amazing character, bro.
And here's the thing. This is the difference of The Last of Us Part 2 and God of War.
Oh, here we go.
Yes.
Hold on. He's about to cook. They
didn't follow through with it. They know what they have. They know what people love. They know what people have grown up with. They know who they care. Yeah. They know the future. It's not Atreus. And it's never going to be Atreus.
Nope.
You can maybe...
As amazing as he is, it's not going to be him.
It's not Kratos. He's not as captivating.
Guy.
He's not as sophisticated. He's not as layered as Kratos. And he never will be. And they knew they couldn't do that. They knew they couldn't follow through with that. But throughout the entire game, you know it's a possibility. You kind of almost feel like it's going to happen. And this, not only do you feel like it's the end of Kratos, I think it's the end of you. Like, the end of your love for this franchise. Like, and they didn't follow through with it. And while you have Last of Us Part 2 that thought everyone loved Ellie over Joel, and that was not true. So.
That's such a good analysis of it. Actually, looking at it in that light, that's actually, I like that.
And redemption. Oh, I'm sorry. Like, that's another huge theme for the game. You have, the female, the witch.
Now that you put me on the spot, I couldn't remember it. Freya.
All right, so all
right.
You're
good. Okay. It was Freya.
Freya.
You're talking about Freya?
Yes, Freya.
Dude, Freya's an awesome character. I loved her in Ragnarok. I thought she was cool.
Yes. So
how she was wanting to like kill him the whole time.
Yes, and it's kind of like I think this is very similar to like the writers. They were like, okay, let's tease we're gonna kill Kratos, but let's not do it. And for her, she wanted to kill Kratos the entire time, wanted to get that revenge. But then she has that realization.
She was Neil Druckmann, bro.
There you go. What should have been Neil Druckmann. And she has this realization that, like, you know, things happen the way they're like. It was her child's fault. It was Kratos.
Yeah.
And for me, that was very powerful because you end up finishing the game out side by side with Freya. and it was very beautiful. The boss fights very underrated. The boss fights are amazing in that little
Dude.
one-on-one arena with your Atreus.
That's one thing I loved about that game. Dude, the when you're fighting the dogs in was it Niflheim? You know which part I'm talking about?
Yes.
Dude. I mean, obviously fighting Thor was like probably the best moment of the game, but
he kills.
But dude, the dogs.
Kratos.
He literally killed him. It said, "Do you want to respawn?" And then he like brought you back to life. He's like, "No, you die when I tell you."
Die when I want you
to
die,
dude.
And then I think
so good.
Someone sacrifices themselves for Kratos at the end. I want to say it was Thor. I think that was another character that redeemed himself. He was a drunk, angry, hateful.
The way they portrayed these Norse gods was so like good. I mean, because you're not expecting what they're gonna do, and then they do it, but then they get you to believe in it.
Yes.
Throughout the game.
Yeah, and it makes you like a question like, is everything already done? Like, is the future already set in stone, or do I actually have a freedom,
the ability to change it? Yeah,
like, can I make my own destiny? And they did that with the gods.
Who it was Atreus questioning that the whole time, I think, and Kratos was the one saying, "We make our own destiny." I think that's what it was.
Yeah, Atreus was trying to find like an out. He was like, "Man, like I don't want my father to die. I know like this is destiny," and he really tries to go on his own way, try to do something really good,
change it.
But he ends up causing a lot of problems, like releasing the hell dogs. He's like, but they're being abused. They're trapped. Let's release them. Well, that caused a lot of problems.
That section was amazing,
and I love that father-son bond. You have a father that's like, Atreus, you don't understand what you're doing. You don't understand the ramifications, the unknown possibilities that could happen based off of what you see as good or bad.
And one of the reasons that dynamic hits so hard is because of the actors, dude. Christopher Judge makes me believe Kratos is real.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. And it's funny you say that because I just saw a little behind the scenes video clip, and he was like, I felt like Kratos. Like he was like, I got in the best shape of my life. So every time I went out and went to go play Kratos, I felt like him. I felt like I moved like him. I would think like him. And so that is another game that was made purely out of love for the characters. And
you can see it when you play it. Like you can just tell it's made different, And I did really appreciate that about that game.
Yeah. So for me, with all that said, and that's another game I could go on and on about.
That's a good pick.
And now we get free DLC, the Valhalla DLC, and I just cannot.
I hear it's amazing
to get to experience that.
Yep, Valhalla DLC shadow dropped at the end of 2023, and what else came out at the end of 2023? The year 2023 are the nominees for the game of the year, which are Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Mario Bros. Wonder, Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, and Marvel Spider-Man 2. I'm sorry, but I don't think there's a more stacked year than this.
This was an amazing year. This is definitely up there.
Just look at the list. I'll give my quick thoughts. You know how big of a fan I am of Spider-Man. I talked about it earlier.
Of course. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Big time.
Marvel's Spider-Man 2 did not hit as hard as the first one. But it's one of those things where it's like, how do you get lightning in a bottle twice? You can't. Once you do it in the first game, the second game isn't going to be as big unless you do something drastically different. Now, we just talked about how Horizon Forbidden West and God of War Ragnarok were great sequels because of what they did. I think that same way about Marvel Spider-Man 2. I think Marvel Spider-Man 2 is a better game than 2018. And I think I like it a lot more because of some underrated aspects of it. And what I'm talking about is actually the story. A lot of people say the story of Spider-Man 2 is the worst part. And I don't agree. I think it's actually the most underrated part of the game is how they managed the story with the characters, the side characters, you know, the overall plot of it. I think Spider-Man 2 was amazing.
Yeah. I think it clears it is for me like the perfect sequel. It just does better. It doesn't try it. If you're gonna try to be grander than the first game, you really have to hit it, or you're gonna get like Horizon, which could be a overhated game, possibly.
Which I think happened. I think in the mainstream, people really hate Spider-Man 2.
Wow.
I think it's only a niche that enjoys it. I think it's really only Spider-Man fans that are enjoying Spider-Man 2. I think like overall people aren't really liking Spider-Man 2 all that much.
Definitely. And I think that goes down to like appreciating the little things. Like if you're not like a huge Marvel fan or a Spider-Man fan, like as someone who follows the comics, earning a specific type of suit might be something very little than to someone else. Like, yes, like everyone, for me, the greatest Spider-Man movie I've ever watched is The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Most people hate that. So when I unlocked my entire goal in the beginning of the game was getting to unlock the Amazing Spider-Man 2 outfit. So when I earned that, I loved it. But I know a lot of people didn't like that movie, so they appreciate different, you know, little things in the game. But I think everyone can agree on the opening act is one of the greatest opening act entrances beginning of a game ever.
And I honestly, that maybe set the bar so high that the ending couldn't do anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I still have to finish this game out. I would. That's a game I would be in a week if I could. If I could have.
All right. So the other nominees.
Resident Evil 4 is a 10 out of 10.
Tell me about that. Tell me about Resident Evil 4. I'm not into their RE series, but Resident Evil 4 Remake, from what I hear, is insanely good. So tell me about it.
Yeah, no, Resident Evil 4 is the best Resident Evil game of all time. And then they remade it, and it's even better. So the story is amazing. Leon it is amazing. They definitely, and it goes back to the argument of like why it sucks that a game like this has any negativity about it, and it's because it's a remake. And this is a game that everyone should be praising to the sky.
Yeah, because
you want more games like Resident Evil 4.
Yes.
Than Madden 24, Madden 23, Call of Duty, yada yada. The story, the mini open world, it's very beautiful, very unique. The music is very like festive, which is kind of like out of place, but it kind of fits. And then it had like,
I can't wait to play it. I'm gonna play it.
Oh, it's amazing.
Let me jump in. Yep. I don't know if I told you, I got a PlayStation VR 2.
What? Okay. So, okay. Bro, we're about to have to do a VR
we should. For free, you can play RE4 VR if you have the disc.
Oh my goodness. Dude, you have the disc.
That's on my list. I gotta do it. I gotta do it. Yeah, no, you let me borrow the disc, so I'm doing it.
What's pretty cool is like I got to play the original Resident Evil 4 through VR. You know, they ported it to VR. And so I really can compare apple to apple. I can compare it to the original, and I think they did amazing. And I remember when it was the first trailer was released, and people were complaining that it's a lot more black than brown. Like when you have a game where you having to complain about the shade of a color, if that's like the biggest problem, there's not many problems. You know, you're like nitpicking at that point. It had this probably like the only it had this like side game for aiming, but you think that's more like training for like to get to up your skill, but like the rewards were amazing. I mean I can't remember off the top of my head, but like you wanted to get the gold medal because that gave you the best reward. You wanted that gold medal to have the
a great design in the game. Yes. I'll put it that way. Well, I want to get into our Resident Evil games, but I can't because I'm such a big action fan. But Resident Evil 4 is the action Resident
Very
Evil game.
actiony, and it's a rather quick game. I mean, I burned right through it, but that's a game like if you want to experience all like the puzzle making, the backtracking, which you've learned to enjoy that. It's definitely not a bad gameplay choice. The atmosphere, the characters. I mean, this is like the epitome of Resident Evil. You get everything,
Yeah.
and action makes it more. It widens the audience, you know, so they don't fall in this world. Like, I don't want to play a puzzle game and walk around, you know,
Yeah.
low ammo and not be able to protect myself. It gets away
Now,
from that.
That's a great game. I'm glad it came out this year. Good remake. Now another good remake was Dead Space, and from my understanding, Dead Space remake was a higher quality remake than RE4. That's what I see. I've played Dead Space remake. I haven't played RE4 remake. So what do you think about RE4 making it on this list instead of Dead Space?
Maybe so. Like, Dead Space was a very, very easy game to it's like a perfect remake. It's very, very close quarters. So like when you have a game that's so like bottled up, you can make details, grand details, and because you have like a smaller circle to work with.
Smaller. Yeah.
And that's a very, very linear game. I mean, that's like you play, you're like, oh, this is like a time machine. Like, I just went right back in time. Yeah. And so the things that they needed to fix were very graphic centric, audio centric, messing with the player's head and tricking them. Do I think it's better than RE4? I don't believe so. I think RE4 bigger scale, and they hit on the bigger scale. But they're very, very close.
That's what I think too. I agree with you. So I played let's move on. I played Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and I've played Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom is literally just Breath of the Wild, but they added two new worlds, one on top, one below. So you got layers to the world, and they added new mechanics where you can build and infuse weapons and stuff like that. It's cool. Not my kind of game, but of course, anything resembling Breath of the Wild is going to be a contender. Super Mario Bros. Wonder, in my opinion, is a better game because it is the best 2D platformer since Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo. It is one of the greatest 2D platformers ever made. They add a gimmick, which is like the Wonder Seeds, and they also add a mechanic, which are the caps that you get. You can put different caps on that give you different abilities, much like old school Mario. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, Super Mario Wonder, really that is a game I really want. I mean, that's a Nintendo like must play. I mean, that's a game.
Nintendo must play.
Yes. I wish could have bought it, bought other games instead. Sadly.
Well, look how many games came out this year. You did buy another game.
Yes.
Which was Alan Wake 2.
Alan Wake 2.
I haven't played it yet. I can't wait to play it. Explain Alan Wake 2 to me, because in my opinion, game of the year comes down to two. Alan Wake 2 and Baldur's Gate 3. We'll talk about Baldur's Gate 3, but tell me your experience with Alan Wake 2 first.
Yeah, Alan Wake 2, I would say, is definitely on par with... It's like very close quarters like Dead Space, but it's probably more like gameplay-wise Resident Evil. So it has... But what makes it stand out is the detective work. I mean, you literally are a FBI agent. You not only are you having gameplay shooting enemies, half of the gameplay is setting up this billboard of figuring out and solving a crime. I mean, the beginning of the game is
I gotta get it.
You're reliving a murder, and then the rest of the game is you picking up from the crime scene.
Let's see if it's on sale. I need to buy this game.
It is.
It's the perfect game for me.
Yes. You're investigating crime scenes, so like your boss will be like, "Hey, search the area, and you're looking for the clues. And then once you acquire these clues, you go into this different realm, this mind place. Basically, it's like the physical reality of her conscious, and she puts this billboard up, and she gets to figure out what most people aren't able to do, and she can do that because she can speak to dead people. Like, she can have interviews and question these dead people.
Sounds amazing.
And it's just very beautiful and very unique. And if you're trying to play like an FBI agent.
Yeah, so Alan Wake 2, super anticipated. It's another just amazing sequel. So like the first Alan Wake was super good. I had some issues with it, but then Alan Wake 2 looks like just such a big step up from the first one, that I'm glad it's getting recognition. I'm glad it came out this year. I would personally probably give it Game of the Year, except I don't know too much about Baldur's Gate 3, but you do. So that was the Game of the Year 2023, and you're the only one of us with experience. So explain to me why Baldur's Gate 3 got Game of the Year.
So sadly, I only have a little bit of experience. So my brother bought the game. I kind of got it through his account, and should never agree to it. But when you start up a co-op campaign, whoever the one that is making the campaign has access to play it. I decided to let him start it, and he's very busy, and I now can't play it unless we're on at the same time. So, but yeah, so I've got to play it. It's a Dungeons and Dragons game. Have you any experience with like the board game or any of that?
I know very little. I watched the movie and loved it.
Okay, there you go. So yeah, it's a lot of role playing, a lot of decision making, and it starts off quick with the decision making, and it puts you in like what is right and wrong. And so at the beginning, you're the species invade the city, and they start like sucking people up, and then you're in this alien ship, and you somehow escape, and you're finding some people that are trying to escape too. So you have this little band built together pretty quickly. It's very good, very natural. It's not like made or forced. And the decision making. So the first one that I was pitted against and was this. There's this like little brain creature in this like held in this case, and you have the decision to do like a surgery or try and save it. And you're like, but it tries to trick you into thinking that both are gonna help it. Well, when I saw the surgery, I was like, it said, oh, it has a chance of being a better, like more obedient pet, because it's going to be a pet. I didn't know at the time. And this is where dice come in. And so basically, Dungeons and Dragons, your choices
I like the dice
matter,
aspect, yeah.
But it's also luck. You know, like whether you succeed in an attack or succeed in what you want to achieve, it all comes to the luck of the dice. And I rolled low, and not killing it, but it turned against me. And so instead of having this pet, you know, I could have saved it somehow. Instead of having this pet, I chose this other path, and this pet would have followed you throughout the entire game. 5 minutes into the game, I was put in a situation where I had a choice, and it affected me for the rest of the game. However long,
that's 50, crazy.
100 hours. And then after that, you have this opportunity to try and like make peace with this alien species that is doing all these evil things, but it's like an enemy of my enemy is my friend. You get kind of put in that situation where you end up fighting together, you defeat this enemy, and then in the aftermath you're like, are we still enemies? And I wanted to be really nice. I was like, I don't want to be enemies with this thing. Like, he actually looks pretty cool. And it was going to trick you if you try and be friends with it. It was going to turn and stab you in the back. And I kind of got out last minute. And
so you're like, I like it because your decisions matter.
Yeah. Everything matters. And it's very cool.
And I hear it's so in depth. Like,
yes.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know too much about it, but I hear it's super in depth, and I think that's why I got Game of the Year, was because of the level of just depth and just production. Over like the content, I should say, the level of just content in the game is absurd. So it's
Yeah,
just one of those games from what I'm
definitely.
hearing.
So yeah, the choices are amazing, very unique. The dice makes it very unique, and I love that in games. If you have something that makes you stand out from the crowd, and you know, because you wanna support like creativity than copycat, you know, copying, and so that's very unique. The graphics are beautiful. It's a turn-based gameplay, kind of like I don't know if you played XCOM, kind of like that ordeal.
Yeah.
Where you can only move so far, and so it's like this
I watched
long
the video you sent
strategic
me.
battle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very beautiful, very well crafted. You know, they care a lot about the characters. Great story, a lot of decision making, and it's actually impactful. It's not fake. It's not like trying to trick you. Like you're gonna have the one outcome no matter what you pick. So it's beautiful. It's amazing, and it deserves Game of the Year. It's very well earned.
So that is a well-deserved Game of the Year. I think, like I said, I would have probably picked Alan Wake 2, but that's just because it's more up my alley. Of course, I was in love with Spider-Man 2 and whatnot, but Stone Cold Kev, that was fun, man. A lot of time here talking about video games. So thank you for coming on and obviously giving some amazing analysis and deep takes, hot takes, all kinds of takes on here. It was a lot of fun. So
yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me. Till next.
Definitely again in the future, near future, we'll do this. So that was, I guess, episode 38. I might split it into 2. So if you're watching, thank you. If you're listening, thank you. And until next time, we will see you guys later.